Hello there, everybody. Back when The Last of Us TV show was coming out on HBO Max, I was watching it weekly and doing streams on Black Angus Reviews channel talking about it, and sometimes on other people's channels I'd discuss it as well, but I don't think I ever discussed it even once on my channel at all. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think about it based on what I remember, but also know that I do really want to see this again, and maybe I'll play the game and then talk about it again or something, because I have not played the games, so I don't have that context going in. I'm just going in from the, watching the show as it is. Though I do know some aspects of the game from watching some people's videos where they talk about The Last of Us and whatnot. So there is that. But yeah, I mean, it's been a couple months since I've watched it at the point that this video is going to be released, of course, and that I'm recording this even, but that's okay because I remember the majority of the show, I'd say, some of the main beats as it is anyway, and sticks in my head pretty well from what it was. So I thought The Last of Us show was pretty darn good, to be honest. I know there's a lot of people that didn't like it or didn't like certain aspects of it. Some people thought it might have been a little too woke-ish in some areas, which I can sort of see some of that, but not necessarily as strong as others. No, I think even regardless of those, it's still pretty solid show. I mean, just the way that they go about talking about the fungus and how that ends up being the zombie type of way that it spreads. That's essentially the zombie virus that spreads. It gets into the food, and people are eating it for a while. It doesn't really affect anybody for too long, but by the time they realize that it does affect people, it is far too late, and it's just spread across everywhere. And people are like, people that eat flour, people that eat all these different types of foods are getting this infection in their body essentially, and the fungus, whatever, is adapting to the different type of hosts that it's going to have, and it is going to take control of them, which, that fact alone is something that, some people might not be aware of. But I mean, there are like some fungi that take over like ant bodies. I think it's ants, some type of bug bodies. There's like a fungus that can like make zombie bugs essentially, which is like, that's like real. So like taking that concept and putting that onto humans now instead, and having that as the zombie type of thing, I think is pretty good idea, pretty good move. I assume that the video game had that as its story premise entirely, and then they take the same premise here. The only difference that I know of is that there were more of a spore element in the game, like in the air, as to where with this, it's not necessarily that. It has to be like direct contact kind of a thing. But anyway, the story is about Joel and Ellie. But before you get to that, you're with Joel, and he's got his daughter, and they're all doing their life and everything. It's all going okay. And then she ends up getting shot. The way that they show her get shot during this stuff, the night that all this stuff's going on, is fucking kind of crazy. It's kind of weird the way that they show her get shot and how Joel is mostly okay, and then she dies. The way that they do that scene, it seems a little odd how that happened, but that's like a minor thing there. They do really good at taking their time. A lot of people wanted it to start out a lot faster, like having more things happen a little quicker, but I liked how slow it was going. It got you settled into what's going on here. If you're a little bit aware of what the show is going to be with like zombies and stuff, it's like, oh shit, it's very unsettling as you start. And when the dog is like looking at the old lady a little funny, just like, like, that's like the little hint of like the dog, it doesn't know what's going on, but it knows something's wrong with Granny. Something's wrong with Granny. And you later see her with like tendrils out of her mouth on some dude, and it's like, fuck, like that. That's some good shit. That's some good horror shit right there. And anyway, we go forward about 20 years to Joel. His daughter's been dead for a long time. There's been a lot that's happened since then. The world, it's pretty much a post-apocalyptic world at this point. It's a whole bunch of different types of survivors around the world and their own different situations. It is a very different planet than it was 20 years ago. Essentially, that's how much the fungi infection, the zombie stuff has gone down. you see the results in a lot of different cities with like craters and of like buildings knocked over and stuff, not because of the zombies, but because of the military trying to bomb a lot of the areas that had zombies, trying to neutralize it and reduce it in some way. I think that that was really cool. The sets look so fucking good. Like they made it. Like I don't know how the fuck they make that look so good to have an area look like that, or which parts are CGI. It's sometimes hard to tell what is what because it's done so well. So I give them good old props on that as well. Like fuck yeah. When we get to Ellie, I didn't like her that much at first, but I was willing to wait to judge her until we get to later in the story, essentially, which she grows on me as it goes. I think the actress does just fine. A lot of people did not like this actress, which I can see where maybe there could be better ones, but I thought she did just fine. Like her acting was fine. She doesn't need. I think some people can see if she responded certain ways at certain points, maybe would have been better. Like when Joel's beating the crap out of that one guard, if her reaction was a little more horrified instead of she does kind of look just like wow he's getting beaten up there, huh? Instead of like oh my god you're beating him up or yes you're beating him up. Like I don't know if there's some type of different reaction. I can see what people are talking about with that sort of a thing. But then we go. I can't go episode by episode. If I'm talking about this, talk about this freaking ever. If I'm breaking down each episode, holy shit. I'm just gonna kind of skip around a little to certain points, I guess, talking about it because the next main point that people might talk about is like in episode 2 with Tess when she gets bit at some. I mean, the first introductions to the clickers there, like when they're in the building, like dude, that was fucking great. I kind of wish there was more scenes like that throughout the show. Unfortunately, there's not as many that are like this. There's a couple of clickers in the area in the building that they're in, and they got to be quiet because they hunt by sound and like they're freaking freaky looking. And it's like, oh man, like that does pretty damn good. You shoot them a few times and they don't go down so easily. You got to be really good at your shooting. And these are like seasoned survivors that are struggling to kind of take down these two that are just in this little short space, and one of them gets bit. Like Tess got bit. Like fuck. She's gonna sacrifice herself, which I've heard people comment. Yeah, it's a little silly. She's like trying to light her lighter to set the gas on fire and explode the whole building or something. But like, yeah, she probably could have just grabbed a grenade and done that or something. Probably would have been a little better because she almost gets sort of found out. Like, there's a whole bunch of zombies running past her, and like one sort of like takes a look at her. She's trying to do the lighter, she's trying to light the lighter, and it can hear it and maybe it can see her. It's not sure. It can maybe like smell her and is like, you're in like it's implied like, should I attack you or not? You're kind of, oh no, you're infected. Okay, weird. And then he's like, its tendrils are coming out of its mouth, and he like kisses her with them, and she's just kind of allowing it, which a lot of people found really weird. But I don't know. To me, I was thinking of it like, maybe she's as every second's going by is like losing more and more of her conscious brain, so she's just trying to focus on getting the lighter lit before she loses control of her mind. And maybe she allows the kiss not because she wants to, but because that's like what her body's doing to like maybe speed up the process or something. Like but she's just got to focus her energy and mind on getting the thing lit, and so they can all blow up and die instead of her being just fully turned into one or something. Maybe that's just my headcanon with it, because I don't know how to explain that otherwise, honestly. So, but then let's get to the infamous episode 3, or as most people refer to it as the gay episode. The gay episode. Yeah, I'll admit that type of thing took me by surprise, and it's not something that I seek out, but I thought the episode was good. I thought it was fine. It was like showing so okay, forgive me if I get the names mixed up. It's been a little while. I think that Bill was the prepper and Frank was the guy that comes in, but forgive me if I get that wrong. The Nick Offerman, I think, is Bill. I think so, but I could be wrong. Like he's like a prepper. Like when the city was evacuating the town, he's like left behind and like utilizes turns that town into his home. Essentially, gates it off as best he can. Gets the power back on, gets some generators to his house. He's got some animals around, I suppose, ready to kill. He is prepared as fuck for the apocalypse. He has been ready and he's been happy, so he immediately gets to work at setting up a nice, comfortable life for himself, essentially, where he can protect himself against zombies as well as raiders and people trying to get his shit, people he don't trust, whatever. Yeah, he's got traps all around the perimeter. Essentially, he is fucking ready. He's gunned out. He is ready to go. And yeah, so that's already good. And then it implies that it's been a while. It's been a few years. A lot of people don't like that they don't show enough of him fighting off zombies or raiders, which I understand wanting to see more of that, but I got the implication when they show, the like one zombie like walks into a trap. I can imagine that there's plenty that go into the trap because he implies, fun, it's cool every time or something. He says some type of line that implies that it happens often. And so it's like, I don't know, do you need to see more of that to be convinced or to enjoy it? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that would really add anything to the story. That would be fluff at that point to me if you were to add more like scenes of zombies being killed, I guess. But I guess that's what a lot of people wanted to see. I don't really particularly care necessarily, especially with how many zombie stuff there are and how pointless many zombie scenes are in general. So like I'm totally okay with there being a limited amount of zombie scenes. And then with Raiders, as it was, like, you show one group trying to attack one night later and that they get fucked up. I mean, it's kind of dumb how they get fucked up, I'll admit, by the fence and like the torches that shoot at them. I kind of wish there was more like a little bit more clever traps or something that works so the raiders don't seem as retarded. The raiders did seem kind of stupid in how they were attacking Bill's town. I'll admit, like that was a little dumb, but regardless, so Frank shows up and he falls in a hole in one of the traps. Luckily, he didn't fall. Luckily, he didn't step into like the one that shoots him in the head or gets electrocuted by the fence or set on fire by a torch or whatever. All the other many ways that he could have been killed. Luckily, he fell into the type of trap where he's able to survive. Which that's fine though. I mean, I guess there's a probability chance here of that kind of shit anyway. And so Bill like decides he wanted to just let him go away. Don't tell anybody about this place. Just go away. But it's like okay, I don't want to have a bed and breakfast here with any of this. But he lets Frank in. He makes him a meal, makes him a good meal, and they're having a conversation. And then Frank notices the piano and wants to play the piano, but he kind of sucks. And Bill ends up kind of getting into a mode with the piano, and it's like they just like for the first time, and I think at that point it's like 4 years he's been alone living this life. Like there's somebody there that he can interact with and share something with or talk about with or whatever, have a human connection. He's been living, but he hasn't been, or he's been surviving, but he hasn't been living, kind of a thing. And I don't even know if the character was gay in the first place or if it was just like, well, by the lack of company around and he's feeling something now, he's going to act on it when there's another human next to him, whatever. Like they end up kissing and doing some stuff. It's the kind of thing where like I don't want to see two dudes doing stuff together like that, honestly, anything sexual. So I kind of look away when that happens. But it was the kind of thing where okay, yeah, when they're doing that, okay, just look away for a sec. Whatever, is it done? Okay, it's done, whatever. And then they don't really show much of that throughout the rest of the episode anyway. They show them doing stuff together, but not a whole bunch of sexual shit. But yeah, it's like showing a person, showing this couple live their life within this apocalyptic area, post-apocalyptic area where we see throughout the show so many people are fucking assholes and are just awful people to each other, living awful existences, experiencing horrible things. But you got these two that are able to live a somewhat nice little life. It is fine. I don't think it's the worst thing that could happen. I think that there's many different ways you could tell the story. I've heard some people say they wish that there was far more traumatic and like far more awful things happened to them and it was like a lot more intense than what it was or something, which I can understand, but I can see that in another story as well, and that this is fine, and that doesn't mean that it's bad. It was okay. And if anything, it gives Joel some means. It gives him some perspective. It like, these were two of the nicest guys he ever met, essentially, since the apocalypse. And yeah, they're able to get something out of it, get a vehicle to go to the next place that they need to get to. I thought it was okay. And they mentioned, he's like, yeah, we always look after our people. I got Frank and you got Tess. And Tess had just killed herself, so that hits him a little deep. I thought that was good. That was fine. I thought it was good that we saw this and good that that happened. A lot of people wanted there to be like a huge boss fight with the zombie or something because it's what happens in the game, but it's not a fucking game. Sorry. Like it's in that this is where you don't do all the game stuff necessarily. Though I'd be okay if there was a conflict. I think that it might have helped a lot of people with some of the tone if there was a conflict of some kind with a zombie that was with some type of peril, like something, or if they did get like caught in a trap or something with Joel and Ellie and they had to get out. Like if there was some type of peril, I can understand people wanting something like that in that episode because it was so soft by comparison to others with the amount of action and like threatening stuff going on. I can see how that might have improved it. But anyway, on to the next episode. And like, I'm just talking in general, like, I enjoy seeing the scenes with Joel and Ellie, and they're just like chilling, talking, whatever. Like, it was fine because Joel is trying his very best to not get attached to this girl at all. She is just, she's a young girl who's experienced a lot of horrible shit as well, and like she's just trying to make the best of life essentially. And a lot of people wish that Joel was a lot more hardcore in this show than how he, I guess, compared to the game. In the game he's like a little bit more stone and harsh, but it's like, okay, I can understand people liking that. I think that that is good, but I also think that this is good. Like having somebody who is so hardened, he is hardened, he is harsh, but he's not as harsh as the game one was. Yeah, somebody can have emotional moments, like just because everybody thinks that he's like a bitch or something now because he might shed a tear. Like, I don't know, man. There, it's like I don't know. Like if that's the qualification for being a bitch, then I don't know. There's a lot of strong characters that have shed tears before, so I don't really understand the fucking comparison with that. Or they're saying that Joel's character. Well, it's like, well, that's a version of Joel's character, and this is a different version of Joel's character. I don't know. Like when it comes to video game adaptation to like TV or film stuff, like it's a tough one for me because there's not like I'm trying to think of all the examples that I know of from the games to the films where the changes make enough sense. And this one I'd say makes enough sense, but again, I haven't played the game, so I'll give you that. But I've seen a lot of footage from the game and other people playing the game of the character Joel. People would use as a comparison to show against this Joel, and it's like, yeah, he's a little bit more of an ass, but I could see that Joel also maybe having a moment of fuck, like if he was in private without you watching as the viewer, like he might, have just a moment of like, ah, fuck, and not be feeling it so good. So I don't know. With Joel, that's fine. Oh man, I just realized I've only talked about less than half of the show so far. Holy fuck. I'm trying to make this a shorter video if I can. Speed round through some of this stuff. We get to the Henry stuff, and yeah, I think that stuff was okay. Oh, people did not like the head lady of the town. A lot of people had an issue with Catherine, Kathleen, Katie, whatever the fuck her name was. I don't remember. A lot of people did not like that she was the leader of this town because in a post-apocalyptic scenario, most people think that the strongest man will be the one that will lead the town, which I agree for the most part is true. But the context that we have for this little town here is that it was under this the Fedra control, essentially the government control for the 20 years essentially, and they've been very abusive in this town compared to other Fedra controlled places. They've been very abusive to this town, and the people finally rose up and killed them. And this all started. A lot of this happened with Henry and everything. This is why this was a problem because he ended up like betraying them and to Fedra and stuff. And there was a lot of stuff here. That's why they were after him and his bro. Like so, there's a lot of stuff going on already, but the people uprose with her. I mean, Henry ended up handing Kathleen's brother over to Fedra, who then had him killed. And the brother was a good voice for the people and was a good person and everything. He gets killed. She's furious and pissed, and like he was seen as like the leader of the people essentially. And she, once he's dead, she as the sister, like led the charges, like fuck Fedra, and like annihilated annihilated the Fedra people essentially, took them down. And any other people of the citizens that were like sympathetic to Fedra or like helped them out at all or whatever, like they were pissed at them too. And she just kind of became the mouthpiece leader with passion because of her brother's death and everything and what he meant to everybody else. She like became the one, the strong dude, the bearded guy who's voiced one of the characters in the game. Like he's in this, people would think that he would be the leader, but it's like, no, he's a soldier and he could be a leader point at some point. I would think, yeah, in time, he probably would be the leader. But at the moment, they're going off of passion and hatred and years of abuse. And this chick is speaking the right points, saying the things that they want to hear, and like giving the confidence that they want to have as a leader, essentially. So they're totally cool with listening to her. And especially if what they want to do is pretty much similar to what she wants to do, I don't think it's a problem to have them follow that. And by the end of this, her decisions lead to all of them being killed. And she was only leader for, get this, less than 2 weeks. So I have no fucking problem with her being the leader for that, in this context, for that amount of time. If it was years and years and years and like just, I don't know, some type of, I don't know, maybe that'd be a different type of argument we could have with who would be the leader at that point. But with this context, she's only leader for like 11 days and she fucking failed. She led them to the ground and to their deaths. So I think that makes perfect sense and that totally works. I don't know, both Henry and his bro and the little one getting, bit and everything and turning into a zombie. Oof, man, that was a little intense because that was Ellie like trying to help. As far as she knows, her blood is the cure. I mean, that's why they're on this adventure in the first place, because her blood, as far as she can tell, is the cure to zombie stuff, because she's been bit and has not been infected yet. So she tried to save the little bro, and because he got bit and was trying to save him. She thought mixing the blood. She also thought, she knows that was stupid to mix her blood with him in general, because that could be a disease thing and just in general without the zombie infection. But that did not save him, and the older brother had to kill him, and then he just kills himself. And it was like, fuck. We met these other two nice people in this post-apocalyptic world full of assholes. Two nice people we found as well, and look what happened. Holy fuck. Like, that sucks. So that was a good fucking little arc episodes right there. And then we go down to Tommy Town, or whatever. They meet up with Tommy in that little village. A lot of people don't like as well how it had power. I think in the game it's implied that in the first game they were working on it, and then in the second game they have power, but not as soon. But whatever. To me, it's whatever. A lot of people did not like it either, because there's a line where she said that, yeah, we all work together. We're a collective commune. We're communists. And, like, I thought this was a funny exchange, because like it's taken as a joke. Like, yeah, she's like, yeah, we're a collective commune. We're communists. And he's just like, what? Tommy, the brother of Joel, is like, what? You're like, no, we're not. And like Joel is like, poking fun at him for it a little. He's like, communist. And it's just like, no, I'm not. No, we're not. Like, they just meant it in terms of, well, like the way that they have to survive is we all kind of share. We do things and we share things, and we, like, this is how we have to do it. It's not like a normal business capital type of town they have, because they need to survive. They have to share things and get a certain amount of portions equally or something to sustain themselves. So it made enough sense with their situation here being post-apocalyptic. So, and this was the episode where Joel has a breakdown when he talks to Tommy. This is, again, a part that a lot of people did not fucking like, where Joel ends up like tearing up a little bit talking to his brother about some of these events. And it's like, he's like hanging out with Ellie reminds him of his daughter, and he's connecting to this girl, and he himself is getting older. He's not doing, there's a couple of parts throughout this journey where she could have just been killed and he could do nothing. Like, he's feeling a lot of guilt, and he's like, he couldn't do anything to save his real daughter. And like, there's a lot of fucking baggage here with this shit. He's killed a lot of people. He's done a lot of hard things. And yeah, he had a moment to break down with his brother in private. Like, as far as nobody else is around to watch this happen, he shed a tear in private but he shared it with his brother, the only other person that would understand him. I don't see how this is like a bad thing for Joel. This is a good character type of thing. Like they're like the way that it sounds like people are saying that, oh, the other Joel would just like punch a wall and be like, fuck you, bitch. Like, I don't know. I'm like, that sounds more retarded to me than this. I don't know. Like if when you just describe it kind of like how it is, like, I don't know, man. Like when I play the game at some point, maybe I'll see what people are talking about and like understand it better. But like, just I've seen the clips as well in comparison to this scene, like comparing these scenes when he's talking to Tommy. I mean, I think that the TV show one is a little better at it as far as like, human emotion, character, whatever. Like, it's fine. He's not a little pussy bitch for it. I don't understand that mentality with that, but okay, he's a heart of stone that sheds a tear once, and it's just like, oh no, what a bitch. I don't understand that at all. And then we get to they're going to the town, to a different town, like a school or whatever, and then he ends up getting stabbed with like a bottle or something, or baseball bat handle or something breaks off, and a little stab in the gutsy poo there. So then Ellie's got to try to look out for him, and they do a flashback episode next, which is like, yeah, that one wasn't. It's not like horrible, but it definitely, I feel, was kind of the one of the worst of the ones, as far as like, because there's a lot there that they could do with Ellie and her friend, that they're really bonding a lot, and like I think the episode was fine, but really could have been better. I think they missed a few things there. The way that they had the zombie attack them, I think, could have been done a little differently. They leave a lot of questions up in that type of episode, like with how much power they were using to light up this whole mall and stuff. There's a lot of questions that come to mind with it, and I kind of wish were answered. And if they showed her dealing with her friend turning into a zombie and then she not turning into one, like, seeing that on screen, I think would have been beneficial. So there's some things in that episode that I think would have been a little better if they, showed a few different things and did things slightly a few different ways. Would have been better. I think it's like a 50-50 episode for me. It's okay, but not great. And then the one after that is the cannibal one, which I don't remember if people had a super problem with this one or not, but I thought it was okay. The concept of like, yeah, there's this town of people and it's in the winter and there's not a lot of food, not a lot of game around. They've been mixing some human food with their food so that some of the meat they have is human, some of it isn't, and a lot of people haven't seem to not be speaking their like disgrace of it, but they all have it on their face of like, they know that something's going on, they know that they're eating people, they don't feel good about it, they're trying to survive, it's awful, and it's like, oh shit. So yeah, like they're willing to eat Ellie essentially, but the main leader apparently implies that he wants to have some shebang with her because she's strong, like a strong young person that he could breed with. And oh my god, like no, no, no. Yeah, that's makes him way more fucked up as a character, but I think was a good thing for them to try to do. And she tries to say like, "Oh, you can't eat me. Look, I'm infected." Has her infection scar, and it's like, "What?" And that gives her enough time to basically kill one of the guys and try to get away and end up just running into Joel. And Joel had to fend off for himself a bit while injured. Oh, that was great too. While he was injured, there's like guys looking for him, trying to find him, and he is like trying to take them out, like just showing him try to fight while he is just hanging on to a thread, man. He's weak. He's got to, if he's going to do a thrust, he's got to do a good one. If he's going to, grab you, he's got to do it in the right way. With the other people he's trying to torture to do stuff, he's already injured as it is. So like he can't spend a lot of time torturing these guys. He's got to get the right fucking answers now. And like I fucking loved seeing that. That was fucking great. And yeah, I mean it's after that episode really that it's like, fuck, these two have gone through a lot of shit now by that point. And I thought that was just done fucking awesome. That was done fucking well. And then you get to the last episode. I'll admit the last episode was kind of the weakest in a way. I'm not sure. Like when I rewatch it, I'll know. But it was really it was like the shortest episode. It had an okay opening showing the Ellie's mom essentially, who is the actress who played Ellie in the video game, I think. uh, like yeah, they have her get chased and she's pregnant and she has to kill a zombie, but it still bites her and she's about to be pregnant and have the baby and everything, and she has the baby, but she technically got bit before she had it, so a little bit of the zombie shit was in there, but it was enough to not infect her into a zombie. And so later she gets, the mom has to get killed because she's gonna turn into a zombie. And Ellie is just alive, even though after all that. And this is how she's kind of immune. There's some weird mixing of the stuff. It wasn't in her long enough or something. She's immune to turning into a zombie. She got bit later and was fine. And so her blood might be the cure is the idea. And the whole concept at the end is like, yeah, she could have in her blood the cure, the possibility to cure people that have been bitten. It's probably not the type of thing where anybody who's like been a zombie can turn back. But if you got bit within like, I don't know, 24 hours or so, you might be able to be saved with medicine or something, kind of like Zombrex and Dead Rising games or something, is what I'm kind of guessing they would go with for this, or to give to people, and maybe when women have give birth, they can pass on some type of cure to their kids, to the next generations, can't get infected or something. Maybe is the idea. And Joel is like, you're gonna kill my girl though, fuck you, and he just goes and kills everybody. And this is the kind of the thing. So we completely, as we watch all this stuff happen, we understand Joel's perspective. We understand Ellie. We understand a lot of this stuff, but like, and so we understand why he does what he does. But honestly, it is kind of a selfish thing to do. Probably you could consider a villainous thing to do, where he kills all these people and he just wants to get her back and does not care if there's a cure. And I mean, I don't agree that like he doomed the world with this. Some people have the idea that he fucked over the entire world with this decision. I don't agree. I think that even if they got the cure, like let's say they got a cure, that there'd still be like 1,000 problems to deal with afterward. But as far as like there's still the potential of it though, and maybe Ellie, she implies that she might have been okay if her life was given to have a cure for other people or something. She ends up being like gay anyway, so she doesn't want to like procreate and do anything, which some people see as a flaw as well, but I don't know. I mean, it's more of the thing of some people will think more logically with stuff, but if you're in the real situation yourself, I mean, how logical will you be? You'll just want to live your life as best you can in these situations. I'm betting they're not everybody's going to put the entire world on their shoulders for some stuff. They might just want to have a good fucking life. I don't know. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking of while I finish my thoughts here for The Last of Us. I definitely want to watch this show again, but I wanted to give it some time to simmer and then maybe play the games and then watch it again, because this is a good fucking show. And man, I don't know when they'll have season 2 come out, but that's where a lot of people are worried because of The Last of Us 2 and the game and all that stuff. But I'm curious because I liked a lot of the episodes that a lot of people hated that played the games. Maybe I'll like season 2. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That's all I got for now. See you later.